Okay, so I've already had some text messages tonight about some vertical motion problems. Um, I'm sorry if the stream is delayed. My husband is streaming Monday Night Football at the same time, so bear with me. Um, the biggest thing I have to keep reiterating and emphasizing is you really, 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 really need to write down your givens and your ask fors. I think that's the most important thing, and a lot of people are missing that. So um, it's going to make it much more difficult for you to solve any problem if you don't write down your givens and ask fors. Don't forget from vertical motion that your maximum height, the speed at the maximum height, whether it's a dropped object or a launched object, doesn't matter. Um, speed at the max height will always be 0. Hi, LaShawn. Hi, Tall. I'm just writing some stuff down. I hope you can see the messages that I have been writing. Just to reemphasize some of the things that I know people might be missing or not taking seriously. Um, One of the problems that someone asked me about today was how to find the maximum height. When you want to find the maximum height, you have to know what you're given. Okay, well, you know your acceleration is always -10 meters per second squared. Okay, so that's always a given. If you're going to the maximum height, right, once you reach that point, the object stops momentarily. It doesn't stop very long, but it doesn't matter how long it's up there. You know that at the maximum height, the velocity is 0. So that's your final velocity. Usually you have a launch velocity when you're given one of these vertical launch problems, especially if I'm asking for your maximum height, okay? And I didn't give you the time. So you're going to use equation number 5. So you have your acceleration, your launch velocity, which is your VO, and your maximum height velocity, which is 0. And then you have your initial height, which is the ground, which is always 0. So YO equals 0. Okay? So you have all of the information you need in order to find Y. Your maximum height is Y. Okay? Feel free to ask questions via chat. Was it really delayed? Or are you guys going back and listening? Or do you not have any questions? Okay. You're going to have to bear with me. I'm going to have to pause for a second. I do have to go get my child. He was crying. So I'll be right back. Sure. So I can, if you want to look at one of your practice problems, let me pull it up for you. Hold on. Mm, mm, um, where the heck did I put it? Okay, here we go. Okay. So I'll do a free fall one and then I'll do a vertical launch. How's that? Okay. So let's talk about um, how fast will an object be going once it reaches 100 meters above the ground. Okay. So that's the problem. It starts at 400 meters. So I'm going to write out the problem in the text. Okay, let me be more specific. Okay, so in this problem, yes, it's free fall, tall. Um, you have two positions, a YO and a Y. So your YO is the 300 meters. Your Y is the 100 meters. And I want to know how fast it's going, right? So if I'm giving you or what's the speed? So that's your V final. If an object is falling, the initial velocity, right, at the maximum height, so your VYO is going to be 0. Okay? Your acceleration for every single vertical problem, no matter if it's going up or down, doesn't matter, is going to be negative 10. Okay? So I just gave you your givens and asked for. Now you're going to pick an equation. Looking at the list, you'll notice that there's no t involved. So whenever you are missing a t, you can't use equations 1, 2, or 3. So now you're choosing between 4 and 5. Okay? They are technically the same equation, but instead of putting a delta y, I put y minus y0. That is what delta y means. So I just use equation number 5. Okay? You should be able to find your answer doing this math. Okay? I'm looking for v, so it's already set up that way, right? So it's v squared equals vyo squared plus 2a y minus yo. Okay, hopefully you guys can see that. I didn't use the caret symbol. I apologize if the squares messes you up, but you do have the equations in your notes. Okay, so plug that in. Make sure you do the subtraction first because it's in parentheses. Multiply by 2 and negative 10. Then add it to the squared, which is 0. So that goes away. So it's really the square root of 2 times negative 10 times 200. Okay? If you are on with me, then you should be able to give me this answer. Please text it. Okay, good. LaShawn, are you working on it too? Good. Remember, you're going to have two negatives in this, right? Because y minus y0 is going to be negative. So the negatives will end up canceling out. So please don't freak out. Correct, Tall. YO is 300. Please make sure you're looking at the givens that I provided to you. Okay, I have the answer whenever you guys are ready to check. What? It should be, I mean, I guess you can distribute if you want, but you have y, Tall. You have y. Did you read the givens and ask fors that I wrote or typed out, buddy? You have only one thing missing, and that's your v. Right. I know. Yeah. LaShawn, what'd you get? Okay, type it out, man. Yes. Meters per second, don't forget. I know I didn't put my units. I'm just making sure you remember for the quiz. That's all. Oh, LaShawn, no. Okay, go back up to where I wrote the question out and all of the givens and the asked for. Okay? You have to be able to do that. Remember that there's always going to be two givens no matter what for a free fall problem. And those two givens, no matter if they're said in the problem or not, which most of the time they're not told to you, those two givens are always your Vy0, which is 0, and your A, which is negative 10. Okay, and that's in the notes. It's in the box on the first page of the vertical motion notes. Is that where you were lost? It's just the three of us, so you can tell me whatever you want. There's nobody else on. A lot of the key terms really didn't change. The only things that changed were the initial speed for a falling object and the acceleration. Those are the really things that were so big of a difference. Everything else kind of was the same. If you find that you need to write down like y is final position, yo is initial position, vy0 is your initial speed in the y direction, vy is your final speed in the y direction, ay is negative 10. Doesn't matter what you're doing, it's always negative 10. And this is for falling, obviously, or vertical launch, right? If it goes down, your Vy0 is always 0. If it goes up, then your Vy0 has to be a number other than 0. Because if it's not, it won't go anywhere. Vy0 is your initial velocity in the y direction. In that problem, are you talking about that problem specifically or just in general? Okay, so in general, it's your initial velocity, okay? The y just means it's vertical direction instead of horizontal. Hey, hey, I know you want to talk to everybody too, okay? In the problem that I typed out at the top, it was 0 because it's a free fall. So anytime it's a falling or dropped object, your initial velocity, aka Vy0, will always be 0. Your equation is completely dependent upon your givens and asked for. Um, in the problem that I put in the text, the chat, you don't have any time. So because you don't have a time listed anywhere in givens or asked for, then you're going to use equation 4 or 5. You can't use 1, 2, or 3. Basically, you use your givens and your asked for to do some process of elimination. If it's not on your list, you can't use it in the equation. Or you would have to do 2 steps. You use equation 5 because you have 2 y's. You have 2 positions. If you had a total distance that it fell, then you would use equation 4. That's the difference between delta y and y and yo.